Maggie Draper.
And I'm Lesley Hip.
And this is our PLC presentation.
Professional Learning Community.
I participated in making half of this presentation and a few of the Kahoot questions.
And I participated in making the other half and the other Kahoot questions. And we created the last question together.
So for this first slide, our question is, what is a PLC? A PLC is professional learning community, and it can be any group of collaborators with the shared goal of improving outcomes. A PLC can be used in any profession, but we are focusing on PLC's use for improving student achievement. We have a question here at the bottom of our presentation that asks, what is an example of PLC you have participated in? A PLC that I have personally participated in is doing professional development with teachers before school starts. For example, the Arkansas curriculum has changed, and all the teachers have been working together to try to provide a fresh way of building up their curriculum for students for when school starts back. The pros and cons of a PLC is our next slide. A few pros that I have is improved teaching performance, improved student achievement, professional development opportunity, and supporting each other. A few cons would be unequal participation, lack of time, too many opinions, and becomes a hangout. The question that we have at the bottom of this slide is, how can we fix the cons of the PLC? I personally believe to fix some of the cons would be to have a supervisor over the PLC groups and make sure all rules are followed to help all the pros come in place.
And I also agree with Maggie's pros and cons because I have been in two different types of PLCs that our wonderful mentor, Mr. Jerry Brooks, parent is a verb, has to explain for us here.
Today we need to talk about PLCs, professional learning communities, or places, ladies, and first. It's a means for teachers to have together to discuss such as data and personal standards. There are two types of agendas that go along with PLCs in education today. The first is if your administrator is present. If your administrator is present, spend talking about best practices. Let's be quite today. Starts like fidelity, differentiation. The next 20 minutes we lay out a bunch of data from an assessment that we have given, and it is color coordinated, red, yellow, green, and blue. And we discuss how we can use students are struggling to yellow and yellow to green. Since blue is yellow students. Then we talk about what we're going to do to move our students along the standards so that when we have the next assessment, we have more greens and blues, reds and yellows. Then we decide who's going to take up the minutes and email them to the principal. And have the principal sit right there in the room. Now, if your administrator is not present for a PLC, the agenda is a little different. The first 10 minutes is spent talking about things that are very done if we want we use words like Young Abby and Kardashian. The next 10 minutes is spent talking about the things the principal has been doing as they get on their nerves. Then we lay out our data, and we look at all of our weight and yellow students, and we take about 15 minutes to talk about why the green yellow blues. So some of the students that were red and yellow, and what they could do to make sure that was happy next year. Then we talk about 10 minutes to discuss who is going to type up the minutes of our meeting, and we end up rock, paper, scissors to decide on that person. And then the last 5 minutes of the meeting is to discuss what we're going to do this weekend and whether anybody has a new buy one, get one free coupons to buy this. That's what PLCs are like in the educational system today.
And I totally agree with Jerry because I have been in PLCs where everybody talks about their grandkids or what they're doing on spring break or their anniversary or what's going on this weekend. And I get frustrated because we're there for student progress. And so I created the slide, what should a good PLC accomplish? A good professional learning community should develop a community of continuous inquiry and improvement. It should be able to support change and sustainability. And we've seen that with the LEARNS Act of we need to be able to support change and sustainability. Ensure all students have access to the highest quality of teaching and learning. We've all heard the students say, we don't do anything in Coach so-and-so's class. Everybody should be learning. Ensure that teaching quality is improved through continuous professional learning. We have to reflect on what we're doing to make sure that we're providing the best quality in our classroom environment that our students deserve. It also prevents the isolation of teachers and creates a culture of teamwork to help prevent burnout by feeling alone. And a question we have here is, what does a good PLC prevent? It should prevent isolation and that feeling of burnout.
I created the next slide, how to establish a PLC school. A few of the things I've listed was determine standards using specific criteria, unpack the standards to the community of teachers, get everyone involved, establish protocols to ensure all voices are heard, gather data to see what works best for teachers and students, and also celebrate the good. The question I have at the bottom is, what other steps can be incorporated to establish a PLC school? And one of the big things I think is important is building a relationship with your teachers. If people cannot get along or if people don't even know who they're working with, it's hard to build that relationship and get everybody's true opinion if they don't feel like they can be honest.
That's a very good one. I agree with that very much, Maggie. You have to be a team and you can't be an individual in charge and alone. It takes, we all say it takes a village, and it definitely takes our school village being committed to the PLC process. Collaborative activities and strategies for success. We have to define roles within the PLC. So we already know who's going to type the minutes. We already know who's going to assess data or bring data. We need to make weekly or monthly time for our PLC. We need to define what is a meaningful assessment and use consistent methods of assessment and data collection. One of the things that I've noticed is it's a different assessment method and a different method of data collection almost every month. And we have to be consistent with our assessments and our data to get consistent results. We need to develop teamwork among our teachers. Every teacher is a reading teacher. Math, science, social studies need to work together with ELA teachers for comprehension. Every teacher of every subject must collaborate for the best outcome for students. Remember, every teacher is a reading teacher, and all teachers, regardless of the subject, should be working together for comprehension. Our question here for best collaboration outcomes, we must remember that all teachers are also reading teachers.
The next slide is questions to ask when working in a PLC environment. This is for teachers that are working together. Few of the questions that they should ask is, what are we expecting the students to learn? How will we properly teach them what we want them to learn? How will we respond if the students do not learn the lesson in time? And what will be the next step when the students learn the lesson? The question I incorporated at the bottom is, are there any questions you would add when working in a PLC environment? A question I thought should be added is, what are we going to be teaching them? I feel like a lot of teachers walk in and kind of miss the point of what is being taught and what should be taught, and that's how we end up on our own path, losing the team building.
And it seems like people, especially I've noticed older teachers that's been doing it for a while, they get away from the standards. And now that the standards are changing, it's more than crucial than ever for us to truly unpack the standard and teach the standard with everything that's new that's coming. And I think we've kind of gotten away from the standards, and that's kind of what we need to draw back to when we are doing our PLCs, is to truly take the time and unpack that standard and discuss what do we need to teach, or what do they need to learn, and how do we need to best teach it. I think that's a good question that we need to ask, and we need to get back to. What is project collaboration? What if I told you there was a resource that you could go to for other PLCs in other areas of the country? So I'm a singleton. I teach art, and I'm lumped in with the fine arts people. So I have the band people, the music teacher, the gifted and talented teacher, and the library specialist. So what we teach has nothing to do with each other. But the library teacher and I collaborate a lot because she has East students, and they do a lot of graphic design. So I pull kind of that graphic design stuff in my art program. So we have worked together on things. So I use this project collaboration resource myself because it's for singleton teachers, but then it's got meetings out there for all the subjects. So if you're struggling within your own PLC, you can access this website, find out when there's a virtual PLC going on, and you can participate in a virtual PLC. So this is a wonderful website that has tons of information. So if you're struggling within your own PLC and feel like you need a kickstart, you can come here for ideas and information.
This next slide is a picture of what conducting a PLC session could look like. It's just a 5-step process. You can take a look at it and see, gives you an idea of how you would like to set up a PLC session if you was to ever incorporate one yourself.
And this slide is also a PLC, and it's just a little bit different of a cycle where you design your instruction, you teach the activity, you assess how your students did, you share your assessments, you reflect, you evaluate what you need to do and what changes you need to make, and then you do an inquiry on what learning, do our students have. And then you just repeat the cycle over and over again until, you work your way through the standards. So it's just a different form of the inquiry cycle. And here is where we have created our Kahoot.
You can change up your answer type for a quiz, which would be multiple choice, true, false. You can type an answer. There's a slider, puzzle. There's many different things that you can do with Kahoot. One of the many things about Kahoot is you can add it to your library. And one thing Maggie and I created our Kahoot for PLC awareness. And we can assign that Kahoot, and we've got which is a plan of a PLC, what is not a process step in conducting a PLC session. All teachers are what kind of teachers. A good PLC prevents isolation of teachers, true or false, and should your building principal be involved in your PLC, true or false. So that is the Kahoot that we created that we could assign. But that's just an example of how to create a Kahoot and what create a Kahoot with you.
And lastly, we have all the resources that we used in creating this presentation. This is Lesley.
And this is Maggie.
And we're saying thank you.